Welcome to ESPN's coverage of the WNBA presented by Google. This evening we come to you from Everett, Washington, just outside of Seattle, as the defending champion Seattle Storm are getting ready to take on Indiana and Noelle Quinn's first job as their head coach, first game as their head coach. Indiana comes in just 1-7 on the season, the one win against Washington, and Seattle's only blemish so far was a loss to Las Vegas. And we welcome you to Everett. Pam Ward along with LaChina Robinson, and big news caught a lot of people off guard just on Sunday when Dan Hughes announced his retirement.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about 25 years of WNBA play, it takes a village, including great coaches like Dan Hughes, who has coached 19 of the 25 years of this league and is a big reason why it's in great shape. We are so grateful for everything Dan has given the game. Congratulations on an outstanding career, and enjoy your retirement with your amazing wife, Mary.
And they are in good hands. Noelle Quinn had been an assistant coach with this team, played for them. Now, they lost some key components as far as players in the offseason, but the good news is they still have 3 superstars on the team.
Yeah, it definitely helps in that transition for Noelle Quinn when you have the future Hall of Famer and Sue Bird, 4 WNBA titles, 11-time WNBA All-Star. Breanna Stewart has entered the chat early for MVP this season, but with all the changes to the roster, someone had to step up, and one of those players that has been doing more this season is none other than Jewell Loyd, and she has been doing it in a number of ways, scoring the basketball. She's in the top 10 in the league in several categories. Scoring, she's dishing the basketball, her defense leading this league in steals. She has just been fantastic on both ends of the floor for the Seattle Storm.
Yes, Noelle Quinn talked about how she came into camp both physically and mentally strong. Sue Bird still getting it done at the age of 40. Yes, Sue is older than her head coach, Noelle Quinn. And we are underway playing in Everett, Washington. Seattle's arena is being renovated, so they will be in Everett all season long. Indiana in the road blues. Danielle Robinson signed as a free agent during the offseason. A good pickup to get the veteran point guard. Drive to the basket. Tiara McCowan able to get a hand on Mercedes Russell and her shot. Kelsey Mitchell has not been shooting the ball well for Indiana, just 22% from distance. As you take a look at the starting lineups, the new names, Jantel Lavender missed all of last season with an injury. Danielle Robinson coming over as a free agent. The 2 Mitchells, and for Seattle, Stephanie Talbot is now one of the starters. Remember, this is a team that lost Alicia Clark and Natasha Howard this past offseason.
One thing that we were told today by Noelle Quinn that Seattle's still working on is that rotation, the roster, with all the changes, just getting everyone back, have players missing for different reasons, and big shot there early by Danielle Robinson, hopefully giving this Indiana Fever offense a lot of confidence because they need it.
Robinson has hit both of her shots so far. Yeah, this Indiana team reeling just a little bit. We mentioned they've only won 1 game this season, but this is the way they think they can stay with Seattle, is in transition. And Kelsey Mitchell now has missed both of her shots. Now a charge, a foul against Breanna Stewart, who complains about it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's a moving screen. Danielle Robinson trying to get in position to guard Sue Bird in transition, something she was looking forward to today, in guarding the great Sue Bird at the point guard spot, setting the tone for this Indiana Fever defense.
Rebound taken down by Russell, gets it out to Sue. 40 years of age, Sue in her 18th year playing in the WNBA.
Call regular young Sue Bird, you know? I mean, she just continues, I feel like, to just deny the old curse, you know? I mean, most players, as they get older, they get slower and they're not as sharp. But Sue has definitely shown us that, you know, you take care of your body, you take care of your mind, and you can extend your career.
Lavender's foul sends Stewie to the line where she hits both of them. As Sue is talking about no timetable for when she will stop playing. Of course, Tom Brady just won a Super Bowl at the age of 43 as a quarterback. So, yeah, nutrition, conditioning have really changed the parameters for what an old athlete is considered to be. Stewie with a sweet move over the much smaller Kelsey Mitchell.
I mean, when Brianna Stewart, with her size and her versatility to get out on the run, it's hard to stop that, especially her length. This is a smaller backcourt for the Indiana Fever, and getting into the shooting eye of Brianna Stewart in transition is a challenge.
Robinson from the outside.
Boy, Danielle Robinson playing with a lot of confidence. We're talking about a player that had 2 major surgeries, Achilles surgery in 2016, ankle reconstruction in 2018, and yet she finds herself playing some of her best basketball these last couple of years.
Her 10th year out of Oklahoma. Russell can't handle the pass.
Brianna Stewart just helping on the interior, on the drive on Tiffany Mitchell, and then give back. Does not have to look to make a pass. She can finish with a high level of difficulty, and again, that's just tough to defend.
Kelsey Mitchell finally gets a bucket, leading this team in scoring about 14.5 points per game, but her percentages are well down. Stewie comes back.
And you see an area that the Indiana Fever is definitely focused on cleaning up defensively is their ball screen defense and how they're executing. Marion Stanley said we cannot guard Seattle the same way with the same defensive schemes. We've got to mix it up and not allow them to get comfortable. And another steal here by Seattle.
Stewart out in the open court, couldn't handle it. Robinson comes away with it. Yeah, Seattle led the league in steals the last couple of years. Right now they are 3rd in the league, but Noelle Quinn says that that's going to change as they get more comfortable with each other.
And that's to be expected. I mean, when you look at how great defensively Natasha Howard was and Alicia Clark, they're game changers. I mean, they make everyone better on their team on defense.
Stewart just needed a little bit of room to get the shot off. McCowan comes in to get the rebound. Erin McCowan now with 3 boards, but she has yet to take a shot. McCowan working against Russell, goes up and under.
Yeah, really nice finish there by Tierra McCowan. I mean, we're watching her continue to grow. At 6'7", she's still growing into her body. Didn't start playing basketball till later than most, right, leading into her high school years, so still getting a feel for it. But on the switch, she just gets lost there. Beautiful jump shot there by Jewell Loyd.
Classic Jewell Loyd move, wasn't it? Just a little fadeaway that's almost impossible to defend. Seattle still down 3. Mitchell being guarded by Talbot, goes around her, and it just skips out. Kelsey has missed 4 of her 5 shots. Jewell Loyd back-to-back, that time from 3. Ties the game up.
Just playing with a high level of confidence. We mentioned she's top 10 this season in the WNBA in points and assists and steals. Not leading the league in steals, but one of the best in the league on the defensive end, and they need that with everything that they lost.
Seattle Indy tied up early.
ESPN's coverage of the WNBA is presented by Google, official WNBA changemaker and proud advocate of women in sports. And in part by State Farm. When you want the real deal, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. And American Express. See all that you can expect when you're with Amex.
Welcome back. Jewell Loyd having quite a season so far in her 7th year.
Yeah, she's been fantastic, Pam. We mentioned it earlier, but top 10 in the WNBA in 3 statistical categories. Scoring, she can do it from all 3 levels. Assists, become a better playmaker over the course of her career, getting her teammates involved. And this is the most important aspect, steals per game. She has stepped up her defense in the absence of Alicia Clark and Natasha Howard, which is extremely important for the identity of this Seattle Storm team.
And with them leaving, especially with Clark leaving, it also has changed her defensive assignments. And Jewel Lloyd, by the way, has scored the last 5 points for Seattle after Brianna Stewart scored the first 6. Candace Dupree, speaking of a veteran, in her 16th year out of Temple.
And of course she scores in a crowd and is totally unbothered, because that's who Candace Dupree is. I mean, you can't speed her up. She plays at her own pace and is just so dependable when she gets 2 eyes on the bucket.
That's a 7-0 Seattle run now. The first time someone other than Stewart or Lloyd has scored for them this evening. And the outside shot.
Jessica Breland is one of the best at hitting the long 2. Between she and Candace Dupree being matched up, I mean, both of them are money from long 2 range.
Yeah, it's good to see Jessica Breland, who opted out last year. Stewie, oh my goodness.
Been impressed with Seattle's defensive activity so far this game. And also Jewel Lloyd, who has started off red hot.
Eight points so far for Lloyd, who is averaging just under 20 per game. That is second only to Brianna Stewart on this team. And a moving screen. I think they're going to get Breland for it.
Been a lot of defense to offense so far for the Storm. You got to fake a pass to make a pass. If you're Jessica Breland, the long arms of Brianna Stewart down to Sue Bird, and how quickly Jewel Lloyd gets into that shooting motion.
Jordan Canada coming in to spell Sue Bird at the point. Stewie, good luck, good result.
Yeah, a little miscommunication there by Indiana defensively, something we heard Andrea Carter talk about in studio. 2 players going under the screen on Stewart, and if you wait too long to get out on her on the closeout, she'll put it up on you.
Antel Lavender into the game, number 14 in blue. Now underneath, tough shot, but it falls for Breland. And that's one of the other things that Jewel Lloyd does really well, with the body control and drawing fouls.
Yeah, just no sense of urgency there by Kelsey Mitchell to get out on Brianna Stewart. Both players getting caught on that screen. Ideally, you want Jessica Breland to get out because she has the length to match with Sue Bird. But when you get stuck, to match with Brianna Stewart, but when you get stuck, someone's got to defend.
Antel Lavender's picked up her second foul as we take a look at the upcoming WNBA national TV schedule. Thursday night at 10 Eastern, the Sky take on the Mercury on CBS Sports. Then join us on ABC on Saturday. Asia and the Aces travel to D.C. to take on the Mystics at 1 Eastern. And it's L.A. and the Sky. We hope Candace Parker will be back to play in that game. Has missed 6 straight games now with a hurt ankle.
And Chicago is hurt, and if this final is correct, Phoenix pulling it out by 1 point on the road. But I do think one of the silver linings of Candace Parker being out is that Diamond DeShields is getting an opportunity to get comfortable. And she knew coming in she was going to be relied on defensively, but as she shapes into form offensively, this team, the Chicago Sky, will be better when Candace Parker returns.
And LA on Saturday would be her first game back since signing with Chicago as a free agent. Lloyd picked up the foul that sends Lavender to the free throw line.
One thing I like about how this Indiana Fever roster is shaping up is, you know, you lost the likes of Kansas Dupree and Erica Wheeler, Natalie Achanwa, but the additions of experienced players, nice cut to the basket by Stewie, like Lavender and like Danielle Robinson and Breland, you know, bring some comfort to a young roster.
Head coach Marianne Stanley in her second year talked about how it's been. First off, they're playing 6 games in 12 days, which is difficult, so not a lot of practice time, to say the least. She says when things are kind of messed up, they have not had the opportunity to try to fix it. There's a good look at coach, long-time assistant in this league, and now the head coach after helping Washington win a championship a couple of years ago.
Yeah, there are a couple things
trying to incorporate, right, China, all these new faces in as well.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things going on. A tough schedule. She said, yes, we got to get better flat out defensively, but there's a lack of familiarity on that roster, some youth, and they're still learning each other and learning their way. Great defense there at the rim by Jessica Breland.
Breland blocking Magmador's shot. So we get close to 30 seconds to go in the first quarter. Quarter in which Indiana got out to a great start. Lavender got it hacked away from behind by Epiphany Prince. The ball stays with Indiana. Speaking of veterans, Prince in her 12th year out of Rutgers. Up into single digits. Indiana got to get a shot off. Canada directing traffic. And a Stewart not on the floor. And a foul on the penetration.
And that's just a backbreaker if you're Indiana. I mean, all you got to do is make a defensive stand to close out this first quarter, and instead you put Prince on the free throw line.
Breland called for the foul. That's 6 for 6 from the line this season. And Seattle, after somewhat of a slow start, takes a 25-16 lead after one.
Seattle Storm looking good early behind the play. Brianna Stewart, Drew Lloyd. Danielle Robinson got a little confidence in that stroke, but Storm ahead at the end of the first.
Joined now by Danielle Robinson. D-Rob, you got off to a great start, 7 points. How's it feeling out there so far?
It feels pretty good. Obviously, our defense has to be a little bit better. We started out the first few minutes getting stops, but now we just got to, you know, get feet in the paint on defense, make them kick out, make the extra pass.
All right, Danielle, first year in Indiana. We talked earlier today. How has the adjustment been so far? I know that there's still a lot of basketball yet to play.
Yeah, adjustment's been good. You know, obviously we've been welcomed with open arms here, ready to just get some wins, you know, play hard, play for each other. But it's been good. I've enjoyed my time.
All right, Danielle, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Danielle Robinson, who came over as a free agent in her 10th year out of Oklahoma, has played with San Antonio, Phoenix, Minnesota, Vegas. As you mentioned, has come back from a couple of injuries and has been a good spark plug for this Indiana team.
Good shot there by Kaiser Gondrzik. This is an Indiana team that really needs to hit their three-point shots. But one thing they got to stop is drives to the rim. That's one thing Danielle Robinson talked about is, you know, keeping the ball out of the paint. And the number of straight line drives that Seattle has gotten has to concern Marianne Stanley early in this one.
The outside shot nailed by Lavender.
You can add Lavender to that list of players that nail the long two ball. Her, Dupree, Breland, specialists.
Gondrzick just picked up the foul.
And Indiana comes into this game 12th in the WNBA, having only hit 26% of their threes. They could use some balance and consistently hitting outside shots.
That's the first shot that Dupree has missed tonight, but there's the hustle. She tried to get it, but the ball went out of bounds. And Noelle Quinn talked about Dupree, what a calming presence she is. She's always been so quiet. I mean, she's got sort of a quiet game. She doesn't talk a lot, but then you look at the statistics and you're like, oh my goodness, she's really a really good basketball player and has been now for 16 years in the league. And has spent her last 4 years in Indy after starting out in Phoenix. And there you see the numbers bear out. She's one of the most solid players in the history of the league. Played at Temple for Dawn Staley. And the drive at the basket.
Lindsay Allen. Nice take to the rim, but Seattle right back to it. It's the early offense for Seattle. I mean, it's not like they're having to reverse the ball or run through their sets. They're getting early offense as Indiana's still figuring things out in transition.
And the transition is one of the keys to the game that they talked about beforehand, and they are right now not doing so well in that department. Andy Burke, who played for Indiana last year, taking it right at Lindsay Allen, who came over in a trade with Las Vegas.
And I want to go back to the point you were making about Candace Dupree, Pam. When you look at those rankings, most people wouldn't guess where she ranks all time in some of those statistical categories and how much she's accomplished in her career, because she has done it quietly. She's just been consistent, worked extremely hard, and played whatever role she's been asked to play. And I'm sure that was attractive to Seattle, you know, as she came into a roster that was evolving and changing from their championship season.
Burke delivers at the free throw line. Yeah, Noelle Quinn said that she's a bucket getter and low maintenance, which is two very good things, especially when you're coming into a veteran team like Seattle. We did win a championship in Phoenix, hunting another one here in Seattle.
And this is where Indiana has to be better here when the ball's in transition. We've got a whistle. But getting back, getting set, getting your matchups the way you want them, make or miss, is extremely important.
Go for Jantel.
Marianne Stanley about to take Jantel Lavender out of the game.
Two fouls
issue
for Jantel Lavender. Also 2 personal fouls on Lindsay Allen.
Two quick ones on Allen, who brings the ball up. Vivian's trying to get it underneath, as Tori Vivian's now coming off the bench for this team. Here comes Stewie after an extended rest. Stewie with 11, Jewel Lloyd 10, so they had 21 points in the first quarter. Indiana as a team only had 16.
And that was important to Noelle Quinn. She said, we can't let a team that's desperate for a win and disappointed with the way they've played come in and get their confidence. We have to punch first, and they did.
Aaron McCowan just drew the foul.
And this is the kind of set I would like to see Indiana go to more often. You have a height advantage on the inside with Tierra McCowan. Post her up and try to get her some touches on the block. She's more improved in some of her moves, still has to increase her pace of play, but, you know, throw it in there and allow her to touch it.
In celebration of Pride, presented by Deloitte, the WNBA is collaborating with GLSEN and Fanatics on an exclusive line of Pride apparel, including Fanatics-branded WNBA T-shirts. All proceeds will benefit GLSEN. Fans can purchase the shirts at WNBAstore.com.
You'd be hard-pressed to find a league that is as supportive and educational when it comes to LGBTQIA+, and being out in the community as advocates and just living their lives openly and encouraging everyone else to do the same. I love that about the WNBA and their players.
Yeah, they've been doing it for several years now. Super from the outside. That is the first shot that she has taken tonight. For Sue this year, 69% of her field goal attempts have come from beyond the arc. And if you go back and look at her statistics over the years, you'll see that that's becoming more of a trend. Less drives to the bucket, more shots from the outside. Still an incredibly effective point guard. Here she comes. Stewie. Short over McCowan, who grabs the rebound.
Most players try to bring Tierra McCowan out. Stewie wanted a piece of her in the paint. Taking it at 6'7".
Lindsay Allen with another shot from the outside.
And that's a good sign for Indiana. You know, they have 2 point guards that are solid, but not really known for their scoring ability. Tierra McCowan gets a piece of that one. Drew Lloyd on the drive.
There's a bit of an emphatic block. Kelsey Mitchell misses from outside again. Now Vivian's going to try to slow it down a little bit. Left the bubble last year after tearing a meniscus in her right knee, had surgery. Knocked out by Lloyd, 6 seconds to shoot.
The ageless wonder, the young Sue Bird, rebound by Breanna Stewart, toes behind the line, Trey.
We're good. You guys got our second win. 4-minute drill right here. Get your second win. Come on, let's go. We got to come make sure we're helping. Continue to fight, rotate, and help one another.
So Noelle Quinn, in her first official game as the head coach, filled in when Dan Hughes went to his son's graduation at the Air Force Academy, and she was an associate head coach the last couple of years. Played and won a title, the first in the history of this league to win a ring, both as a player and as a coach. And here she is now as the head coach for this Seattle team. She is only 36 years of age. Both Candace Dupree and Sue Bird are older than her. First time in the history of the league that that has happened, where coaches have 2 players older than her. But boy, Sue Bird, especially with the announcement yesterday, showed so much confidence and very supportive of Noelle getting this job.
Yeah, I mean, Sue Bird just went on as Breanna Stewart hits a shot there. You know, she said Noe sees everything and she doesn't miss a beat. And when you have 2 of the best eyes in the game saying you see everything and you don't miss anything, that's quite the compliment. But I was just taken back by Noelle Quinn's humility and how she understands that her job is about the X and O's of the game, which she knows very well, but also the way she wants to impact lives. And you know, a former player in this league getting a head coaching opportunity, a black woman. These are the kind of things we've been talking about in recent years in the WNBA. And shout out to the Seattle Storm for making a move for a much deserving promotion for Noelle Quinn.
You saw there that Sue is a little over 3 years older than Noelle. Always like to get that in for Sue. I'm sure she's thrilled we're doing that. And also, Candace Dupree is about 40 days, a month or so older, so not too much, but still Noelle Quinn, very quiet, always, you know, you've been around her for years, very soft-spoken, but the players say that when she does talk, it carries a lot of weight. And you have to give the Storm ownership. They actually went to her a few years ago and told her they wanted her to be on a path to maybe ultimately become a head coach, and you have to give them credit for looking, you know, a few years down the road.
They had a plan. I mean, there was a pipeline. There was some forethought that went into it. I mean, and that's how you make this kind of hire, when you're keeping your eyes on the landscape. You know, when she played, they told her when she left, they wanted her to come back and coach. So they were already seeing something in her, she said, that, you know, maybe she didn't even see in herself. And just grateful for the opportunity for a young woman that definitely deserves it.
ESPN's coverage of the WNBA is presented by Google, official WNBA changemaker and proud advocate of women in sports.
You are watching ESPN's coverage of the WNBA, presented by Google. Here in Everett, Washington, one of the all-time greats, Tina Thompson, won 4 titles with the Comets and a former teammate of Noelle Quinn, and still a buddy of hers. Yeah,
she said she wanted to come out and support Noelle, and sent me a long text about how Noelle is one of the most sincere and trustworthy, hardworking individuals she's been around, high character. Well, Tina Thompson said she's one of the most fierce competitors she's ever come across. Then that's high praise, coming from one of the best to ever do it. So a lot of support from WNBA legends, alumni, and even current players for Noelle Quinn and the opportunity she's gotten in Seattle.
Another timeout. Tiffany Mitchell with the basket for Indiana, now down just 8. Bird from the outside misses the 3. Seattle had hit their last 4 before that. And Noelle Quinn only averaged about 5 points per game during her 13 years. Not a lot of eye-opening statistics, but a very good teammate. And Tina Thompson can vouch for you. That's pretty good.
Well, Seattle sending bodies to McCowan. 3 players headed in her direction. Beautiful pass out and nice take to the rim by Tiffany Mitchell.
So quick buckets for Mitchell. That shot with the friendly roll.
Mercedes Russell coming into the season a little late for Seattle, but boy, has she improved. Even from last year to this year, I'll tell you, Russell has come in ready to play. But take a look at good ball movement here by Fever. Touches the paint to McCowan, and the quick pass by Lavender. It's hard to recover to that corner, and on the closeout, Tiffany Mitchell, one of the most explosive players off the bounce you'll see in this league.
Boy, just a little bit of room. Now Robinson, who got off to such a great start, all 7 of her points coming in the first quarter. And Mitchell guarded by Talbot, who is able to get the rebound.
And Talbot's got a little size advantage on Mitchell, and right at the rim, she smothered her on that shot.
She's about 3 inches taller than Mitchell. Outside, Sue has missed a couple in a row. McCowan comes down with the rebound as we're inside a minute to go in the first half. McCowan misses the first time, but not the second time, and she drew the foul.
And that was really good patience and poise by Indiana. Seattle bought some pressure against Danielle Robinson in that corner, but they rotated the ball out quick enough with a beautiful zip pass inside to McCowan before the defense could recover.
Talbot called for the foul, sends McCowan to the free throw line, where she is only a 59% shooter this year. That's a 3-point play, however, and it's only a 5-point ball game. Seattle is led by as many as a dozen points. Stewie, Boston on the way up, recovered, shoots. And now another opportunity. Robinson slithers around Bird to get the bucket.
And that is where Indiana has an advantage, their quickness, especially with this lineup with Mitchell, both the Mitchells, and Danielle Robinson. They can get out of the run. This is a quick lineup.
Indy, a team that's only won one game all year, only down by 3. Stewart can't get the basket. The foul called with just under 10 seconds left to go. Coming up on the State Farm halftime report, we'll have Christine Williamson and Andrea Carter. And you want to see a great shot? Kia Nurse made a great shot to end that Chicago-Phoenix game. And more on this Storm's historic hire of Noelle Quinn. All that coming up. James Wade with another heartbreaking shot to end the game.
Go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it. We haven't even seen it. You want to see, you want to use the word heave. I can hear it in your voice.
Yes, but they got handed by Canadian Kia Nurse. So great highlights coming up.
And another late quarter opportunity for Indiana to close out with good defense, and they put Seattle on the free throw line. This is where you lose momentum in these instances.
Mitchell goes out after committing the foul. Elsie Mitchell just 2 points on 1 of 6 shooting. She's missed both of her threes, only hitting about 20% from distance on the season. So Seattle led by 12 at one point, but Indiana has gotten closer, down just 43-38 at the half. But Stewie, being Stewie, has 16. You are watching ESPN's coverage of the WNBA, presented by Google. Oh, another gorgeous night as the sun sets in Seattle. We are just outside Seattle in Everett, Washington, where the Storm have a 43-38 lead at the half over Indiana. Noelle Quinn's first game as the head coach. We have her wired.
Big guard trap right there. It's a big guard trap. It's a big guard trap. Look, we got to get to this next level of we're just like floating right now. Come on, we're floating. Don't float. Step on the gas. Let's go.
Head coach Noelle Quinn probably wanting a little bit more from her team in that second quarter where Indiana outscored Seattle. But this is why the Storm had the lead. It's Jewell Loyd and Breanna Stewart, two-man game on the ball screen action. Jewell Loyd looking to be aggressive. She gets a switch with a big on her and got the mid-range game to go. Miscommunication on the screen here. Too much space for Breanna Stewart, and she knocked down the long ball. That is why Seattle has the lead, but Marianne Stanley's got to be happy with the way her team played in the second quarter. Good ball movement, better decision-making. They limited their turnovers, had a lot of them in the first quarter, which led to some transition buckets for Seattle, but they've cleaned it up, and Indiana's right back in this.
Started things off, the outside shot missed by Talbot. Stewart and Loyd doing most of the scoring, combining for 26 points, but Jewell Loyd did not score at all in the second quarter. Missed all 3 of her shots. Stewie just 5 points, including 1 field goal, as Indiana did outscore them by 4 in the second quarter to get closer after being down by a dozen. Danielle Robinson got them off to a great start.
Indiana tried to get some high-low action between Lavender and McCowan, but good defense to start from Seattle there as the opportunity expires on Indiana's possession.
And Seattle, a team always known for its defense. The numbers up a bit. Again, they lost Alicia Clark, Natasha Howard from last year's team. 2 premier defenders trying to find a new identity. Dan Hughes announcing his retirement on Sunday. Noelle Quinn taking over. Loyd, high bounce, lost it. Indiana actually shot better in the field in the first half than Seattle, but Seattle hit 5 threes. There's the 6th one from Jewell.
And there it is. is. I mean, at some point, you got to change the way you're guarding three, because Indiana has not been able to get in the vision of the three-point shot. So maybe you run him off the line, just trust your help defense. Wasn't a lot on the back end of that one, but this cross-court pass here on point from Sue Bird, and defensively, everyone sagging off in the paint. And you see Danielle Robinson having a word with Kelsey Mitchell, trying to tighten up the assignments.
Mitchell from the outside still cannot hit from three. Has missed all three of them from there. Stewie draws contact and will head back to the free throw line, where she is 4 for 4 this evening. Indiana dead last in the league, both in three-point shooting percentage and three-point percentage defense.
And you got to do one or the other. You either got to hit some threes or you got to stop the three, because you can't trade two-pointers for three-pointers all game long. You do the math, Pam. I mean, I know you went to Maryland, but
yes. I do know that 3 is more than 2. Is that correct still?
It's still, yes, still relevant.
Okay. Seattle gets the lead back up to 10. Kelsey Mitchell by far shooting the worst percentage from 3 in her career. There's a foul on the perimeter.
But you see that Seattle's doing some switching, and on that possession, Breanna Stewart was guarding Kelsey Mitchell. I don't know why she didn't look to get to the rim there. You got a big on, you look to attack, especially when you're as fast as Mitchell and you're struggling to score from the outside. That's Kelsey Mitchell.
Right, you would think that that might be a remedy to try to draw contact. Dishes it off to Tiffany Mitchell, and Stewart tips it out. Here comes Lloyd in the open court. Robinson still fast. Inside to McCowan, who has not gotten a lot of touches. Doubled quickly, then kicked it out for the shot by Lavender.
But that is what she has done well in this game, is make reads, passing out of traffic. That's her second assist. May not seem like a lot, but this is someone who's to turn the ball over in a crowd.
And then Stewie comes back and nails the shot. Stewart now with 19, averaging 22.5 points per game. That is 4th in the league going into play tonight. Robinson off the mark, but she got fouled by Lloyd.
Gotta love the aggressive mindset of Danielle Robinson. Knows that a lot of times teams are going to sag off of her into the paint, look to help, but she's been looking for her shot. And 4 for 7 from the field, but that time Jewel Lloyd gets her on the arm.
Second personal on Jewel Lloyd.
Flagrant foul.
And the officials are looking to see if that last foul on Lloyd should be upgraded to a flagrant foul.
The foot comes under the foot of an airborne shooter, it can be upgraded to a flagrant because of how dangerous this play can be coming down that way and the type of potential for injury.
Well, Robinson heads to the free throw line. And you saw on the replay that Robinson's foot actually landed on one of Jewel Lloyd's feet.
But you have to give the airborne shooter an opportunity to land, and they don't have to be completely vertical. They can actually land ahead of where they take off, because that's the expectation. Sue Blau said to me, the head of officials of the WNBA, you know, no shooter lands exactly where they took off. They're going to maybe be a little bit in front, and it's up to the defender to give them that space.
So 2 shots, 2 free throws, and the ball after the flagrant one called on Lloyd, who's been taken out of the game by Noelle Quinn. Tiffany Mitchell so smooth. Mitchell has 8. Robinson leading the way with 11 as Lavender's called for holding on to Brianna Stewart. That is 3 on Jantel Lavender. Guarded by Robinson.
Good job by Danielle Robinson, working around screens, staying with Sue Bird. Brianna Stewart had a wide open layup.
Right, yeah. Missed it with her offhand. Robinson can't get it to go, and now a whistle on the floor. I think they're going to get McCowan.
Floater goes up here by D-Rob, and absolutely Mercedes Russell pushes Tierra McCowan. He got away with that. I mean, that was, boy.
You see why McCowan was not happy with that. Kelsey Mitchell with the mess. It looked like a bunch of bowling pins just falling in order.
And all you could see was little Sue Bird under there, like, please. You can't take those kind of hits.
So a tough foul on McCowan. Indiana hanging in there, just down 6. And this is an Indiana team that has only gotten 1 win all season. And that was against Washington. And that was a game in which Marianne Stanley, the head coach, said that they really followed the game plan to a T, was very happy with that. But she said they have not been consistent. They'd come out the next game and did not follow the game plan and actually lost to Washington. And this is a brutal stretch. How about back-to-back games against Las Vegas, and then you come into Seattle?
Yeah, they have not had an easy schedule whatsoever. And the biggest thing is they haven't had a lot of time to practice, getting all their players in, the youth, coming back from some injuries. I mean, 6 games in 12 days. You're basically just going through the scout and trying to rest and maybe getting a couple shots up.
You take a look, the longest road trip of the season, as LaChana mentioned, 6 games in 12 days. Vegas put up back-to-back century numbers against them. And they have played some, I mean, you look at the schedule, they have just played some really tough matchups. New York twice already, Connecticut, Washington twice, Vegas twice, Seattle. A lot of whistles. That one is on Stephanie Talbot, the Australian, who Coach Quinn said was more athletic than she thought when she got her and took a look at her as a player. She has made the Australian Olympic team for the 2nd straight time. Played there in 2016 in Rio and scheduled to play there this summer. Bird. It's the screen from Russell. Pops it. Hits it.
And Russell occupied Tiffany Mitchell on the roll just long enough to keep her from recovering out to Sue Bird.
Mercedes Russell having a nice game. She has 8 rebounds already. Her career high is 11, and set that screen that enabled Sue to get the shot. Tipped.
Russell with the defense there.
Nice pass. Talbot from Canada.
ESPN's coverage of the WNBA, presented by Google, is brought to you by Gatorade Zero, all the electrolytes, zero sugar, and AT&T 5G, fast, reliable, and secure.
It is time for Did You Know, presented by Google. For today's search, we want to know who holds the WNBA record for most games coached. Tying this in with Dan Hughes, who just retired, so we will give you the answer as you ponder.
My guess
coached
would be either Mike Tebow or Brian Agler.
Two very good guesses.
We'll see.
An answer to you very quickly. Stewie hit while she's shooting a 3. Yes, he has the most wins and also the most games coached. Mike Tebow finally got himself a championship a couple of years ago in Washington, and still going strong. Waiting for Elena Deladon to come back. Boy, Tina Charles has been playing well, huh?
Oh, she's been amazing. Came into training camp in great shape. Had a wonderful offseason working out with her trainer, and you can see it paying off.
Take a look at the upcoming WNBA national TV schedule. Thursday night at 10 Eastern, it's the Sky and the Mercury on CBS Sports. And we'll have a doubleheader on ABC Saturday. First, it's the Aces in Washington to face the Mystics and Tina Charles. And LA and Chicago on the West Coast. Check out that doubleheader on ABC. We will be physically in Los Angeles.
I know.
China.
It's great. I cannot wait. I mean, a huge difference being in the arenas this season. Last year, we were kind of in a bubble in Connecticut. Well, I was. I'm calling games. And now we get to be back with the fans. Yes.
Can't wait. We hope, everybody hopes that Candace Parker will be healthy enough, missing the last half dozen games with a bad ankle. Mercedes Russell just fouled.
LA dropped one tonight to Dallas. The Young Wings getting the victory. Mbawale, 14 points. Ty Harris, 18 off the pine. 4 for 6. Three-point land.
And Mabry and Agumbawale have turned into quite a tandem in Dallas. Vicki Johnson, the head coach down there. One of several coaches who had been mentored by Dan Hughes.
Yeah, he has quite the coaching tree, and that's the other aspect, is not just your own accomplishments as a head coach, but all the coaches that you bring along with you that turn into head coaches and have their own success in their careers. Indiana really playing scramble right now. They're giving Seattle too many offensive rebounds, second and third opportunities, and looks at the bucket.
Indiana had closed to within 6, but now a nice run by Seattle and a nice run of whistles. That one's on Jordan Canada. And it sends Tiffany Mitchell to the line. 6th year already out of South Carolina. Terrific free throw shooter, has strings of 42 and 43 straight made free throws in her career.
shooting the ball from the field better than she has in previous seasons, and getting to the free throw line is what she does well, but she just brings a lot of energy. It's her hustle on the glass, you know, and I think she's the kind of player that as she continues to work on her playmaking ability, you know, decision-making with the basketball, getting her teammates involved, she's just starting to scratch the surface of what she's capable of.
Career high 13 points per game last year, averaging about 10 so far this year. Candace Dupree just calmly nails it. Dupree will turn 37 in mid-August.
He's
off on the outside.
Yeah, off on that shot, but that's the one thing she has got to do when she comes off of the bench for this Indiana team is knock down the outside shot, and she's capable. Hasn't been healthy, has had some knee issues, and you know how important legs are to a shooter. And she has relaxed some coming off of the bench, as you mentioned earlier, Pam, playing better in those spaces, but she's got to knock down shots when she gets in space.
Yeah, Vivians was a dynamic scorer, the most points ever in Mississippi high school basketball, over 5,000 points in high school. Playing in a small town, and Latoya Thomas scored more points at Mississippi State. But you're right, she's had knee issues, initially hurting a knee overseas, and then another tweak in the bubble last summer.
Here's an offensive rebound by Tiffany Mitchell. That's what she gives you, that second effort.
And an energy for Mitchell. Outside shot. Indiana still can't get a three to fall. Just 2 of 13 beyond the arc tonight.
Not a great shot on that possession for the Fever.
That's a chancy pass, but it got through to Vivians, who was able to put it home. Dupree. This time off the mark, and Lauren Cox in the game. We have not seen her. Cox, speaking of injuries, coming back. She was at COVID last year, got into the bubble late, and was getting treatment for another injury when she tweaked her knee the first week of camp and was out for 10 days. So she is still trying to get herself back into playing shape and contribute.
One of the young players for the Fever that they're hoping really gets a handle on this transition into the WNBA. It's hard to start your career in the bubble. You know, now is out, and again, setback with the injury, but a lot of potential for her on the defensive end. Good teammate, very coachable, wants to learn, and all those things. She's just got to be healthy. And Danielle Robinson's done a nice job of working around screens. I thought Ezzie McNamara was, I thought she might have been in place there on that screen.
Instead, the foul called on Ezzie, her first. Jump stop, Greenland. Canada in to run the point to avoid camping out on the far side of your screen with Stewie on the bench. Tiffany Prince gets it over to Dupree, left open. Indiana with 3.5 seconds. Rob with the heave, a little bit too strong. Seattle led by 5 at the half. They've extended it to 61 to 52 over Indiana. Joined now by Brianna Stewart. Stuart, you and your teammates got off to a good start. Indy closed it a little bit. What's the feel of the game like down there?
The key to the game is really just to finish out this last quarter, these last 10 minutes. We picked up our defensive intensity a little bit, but we want to kind of get to that next level on both ends of the floor.
And you have a new head coach now. What was your reaction when you heard Noelle Quinn was your new head coach?
Obviously, super excited for Noe. Really appreciate everything that Dan has done. Obviously, he's a Hall of Famer in his coaching career, but excited to kind of transition with Noe and to take this next step with her. And we just have her back 100%, and we know she has ours.
Okay, Brianna Stewart, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Noe is what her now players call her. Noelle Quinn was a teammate when they won a championship together back in 2018. And it's important to say that Dan, he was stepping away from the game, decided to retire. We asked, he had a health scare a couple of years ago. He's fine. He just wanted to step away, 65 years of age, move on. And the players there have, as you heard from Brianna Stewart, a lot of respect for him. And he really is one of the nice guys in the game. And will be with the Olympic team, the U.S. Olympic team, as an assistant under Dawn Staley in Tokyo. So continuing his association with basketball, but he just said, hey, it was time, and they knew that they had Noelle Quinn in place to take over.
Well, when you think about the WNBA lasting for 25 years, as Lindsey Allen nails a shot, Maryland in the building. You know, it takes coaches that saw the vision for this league. You know, when it first started, everyone's questions, how long is this going to be around? And, you know, what is this going to be like? And it took some sacrifice from some coaches that were willing to build the foundation for this league. And, you know, it hasn't always been easy with your players out of market in the off season, overseas, and all the different challenges that you have. But Dan Hughes was one that stuck with it. He's always been an advocate for women. You know, Marianne Stanley has had a terrific career in this league as well. She was definitely a foundational block for this league. But we talk so much about the great players that have come along, but not probably enough about other great coaches that have contributed to the WNBA success.
Hughes coached in the league for 20 years, head coach at Charlotte, Cleveland, San Antonio, and Seattle. Scored the second most games and had the third most victories.
Yeah, a few franchises disappear. First three.
The late great Cleveland Rockers among them. Timeout in Everett.
The Indiana Fever continuing to claw their way back in this one, not giving up. How about the play of Lindsey Allen? Hits a shot here, and on this possession, Victoria Vivian's getting into her shot in the middle of the floor. But one thing that Marianne Stanley told us is she loves her dual point guards, and Lindsey Allen made some good plays in the last few possessions. Seattle calling a timeout there.
Lindsey Allen and Danielle Robinson in their first years with Indiana. There's the outside shot.
And again, the three-point bucket. That is where the numbers aren't adding up for Indiana.
Indiana got one from Danielle Robinson right before the break. They had not had one since the first quarter. Cox now with the miss. Pardon me, it was Lindsey Allen who hit that last three. It was Robinson who hit one back in the first quarter. So Allen is the one with the ball, who broke that streak of missing threes. Dupree fouled by Vivians.
One of the challenges when you're playing the Seattle Storm is how well they move the basketball. How do you even see that pass if you're Sue Bird? Over to Jewel Lloyd knocking down the shot, but that's what makes Sue one of the best. I mean, you look at the way she plays the game and how she can control the ball and how she passes it. You think she's taller than 5'9", I mean, a pass like the one she just made, she had to see over several defenders, but she just has such a high basketball IQ and can find the smallest spaces to deliver that pass.
Yeah, that's why she is Sue Bird. You see, she has 6 assists. No one has had as many assists in the history of this league as Sue. Now with the basketball. The 3, just a little bit of a hesitation. Cox gets the rebound. Trying to go behind her back. Shot clock is getting really skinny. Cox has to do something.
Indiana just doing a lot of standing around on that possession. Cox needed a bailout. Seattle has been very comfortable switching in this game when they've needed to. They brought 2 defenders to the ball. A little more pressure.
You saw 2 on Mitchell.
Yeah, and Indiana's just not attacking the closeout when that second defender. Good job there by Breland.
And then Epiphany Prince answers on the other end. One-point lead for Seattle. Something is being reviewed. Indiana has taken a timeout. We will as well.
The feel that Noe has for the game, you can't teach. I was joking with her about it, actually. I'm like, it's kind of like when they talk about tall people and how you can't teach height. I was like, what Noe has, it's really hard to teach because it's a feel. It's a feel. And I think for her, you know, she'll be the first to tell you that she's, you know, on the quiet side, but that doesn't mean she's not, you know, seeing everything, observing everything, taking it all in. She doesn't miss a beat.
Sue Bird there letting us know, don't let that cool, calm demeanor of Noelle Quinn fool you. She is seeing all the things. Obviously a high level of respect from Sue Bird for Noelle Quinn, and you know, she's got another assistant coach in Sue Bird, you know, a player that has been coaching her team, I'm sure, all the way back to her UConn days, and maybe we can find some footage of even before then of the young New Yorker coaching her teammates, I'm sure, but she's just got that in her, and I'm sure that makes the game a lot easier for Noelle Quinn as well.
And this was earlier tonight. You see Sue over on the bench talking to Stewie. And whenever they go in, you know, at timeouts, as the coaches huddle up, Sue is always the first one to talk in the huddle. And that was something that Noelle Quinn mentioned when we spoke to her earlier today, is what a luxury it is to have Sue. She says she's the coach on the floor. And she said when Sue Bird told her that she was ready to be the head coach, that carried a lot of weight with Noelle Quinn.
I mean, you have to have the respect of your players in order for it to work, you know, in order for a dynamic like that for a young head coach to really thrive. And, you know, one thing in listening to Brianna and listening to all the players, I mean, they trust her, and that's a big part of this as well.
And Stewart, when we talked to her after the third quarter, said, we have her back. And that's a great thing of support. Noelle Quinn had been a head coach at her alma mater, her high school in Torrance, California, and then the assistant here in Seattle, and now at 36 years of age, the head coach of the defending champions. And she knows she has some things to work out. She said, you know, when to talk, when not to talk, things about player rotations. You know, she'll learn. And it's a great group of athletes she has to do that. Players she played with, very familiar with each other, and they respect her. And that's the #1 thing, is Russell finishes.
Yeah, I mean, she said she's still figuring out the media thing. I mean, nobody wants to hang out with us, Pam. I mean, that's just how it works. You know, she's like, I'm still getting to the media thing. I said, that's what everyone says, you know. No one really wants to be with us.
Breland with the bucket. Seattle, such a great fan base there. By the way, they're playing this game, their whole season, at the Angel of the Winds Arena in Everett. That three is buried. Sue Bird with the three. And finally, oh my, Kelsey Mitchell finally hits a three.
Yeah, she has struggled to start this season after having a really solid year last year, and Marion Stanley has all the trust in her. She said she's going to get out of this slump. She just got to keep shooting and right here attacking the basket. But she's a capable scorer, and this team needs her to knock down shots. It takes pressure off of their defense, and that's what she's here to do. And she just hasn't done it efficiently from long range. Take a look at this offense here by Seattle. I mean, this is what makes them so good. First of all, it's player movement, it's ball movement. Sue Bird out of your screen right now, but she goes and sets the screen, then she pops out, gets a screen from Mercedes Russell. So it's a series of actions that end up in that open shot.
Foul on McCowan sends Stewart back to the line. We remind you of our doubleheader coming up on Saturday on ABC, first at 1 Eastern. How about Asia and Tina going head-to-head as the Las Vegas Aces are in Washington to take on the Mystics. And then we will be in Los Angeles at 3 Eastern, noon local time for Chicago and the Sparks. Check it out on ABC coming up on Saturday.
Brianna Stewart has been able to get to the free throw line 11 trips tonight, 9 for 11 from the charity stripe.
Seattle as a team 20 of 22 from the free throw line. So outscoring Indiana by 10 from the line. By 18 from 3, so Seattle really doing damage from 3 and from the free throw line.
This is the effort you want to see if you're Marianne Stanley. One thing she told us was, listen, I just want this team to continue to get incrementally better. And right here, Tiara McCowan gets her shot blocked by Brianna Stewart, but she didn't give up on the play, gets to the offensive glass. That's the kind of second effort and the desire that she wants to see from McCowan and from this team, even though Seattle is definitely been able to keep a handle on the lead throughout the night.
Stewart pops out and nails another one.
Yeah, in this lineup, it is hard for Tiara McCowan right now. And in that situation for her and for the post players to have to chase Brianna Stewart around screens, whether it's her or it's Lavender, doesn't matter. I mean, it's not ideal. Lavender's still working her way back and not at 100%.
Yeah, it's really a very tough matchup. Seattle is a tough matchup for most teams. Inside 2 minutes to go now. Lloyd trying to get it underneath the Talbot, who was cutting.
Okay, Mitchell hit a few baskets, getting some confidence.
Yeah, that actually is her first three. That other one was a long two, so that is the first three that Kelsey has been able to hit after missing her first 3 threes. Again, shooting only about 20% from distance. Talbot with the answer. The previous career low for Kelsey Mitchell was 34% from distance. Seattle in control.
ESPN's coverage of the WNBA is presented by Google, official WNBA changemaker and proud advocate of women in sports.
Welcome back. Sue Bird and the Seattle Storm up 87-73 over Indiana. They are just over a minute away from going to 6-1 on the season and winning their 4th straight game. Indiana has only won 1 of their 8 games so far. Playing this brutal stretch, they go to Los Angeles. Well, they will play day after tomorrow. NBA playoffs are continuing. Suns putting a hurting on the Lakers earlier today. And we have at least one NBA playoff game coming your way Friday. Clippers and Mavericks all tied up now. Game 6 Friday night on ESPN and the ESPN app.
So much basketball.
Oh, wow.
Love this time of year, you know, with WNBA happening, NBA going on. A lot of fun. I'm trying to think of who I was.
Playoffs.
Oh, didn't know. I'm trying to think of who was I watching the other night. I was watching some NBA action. And it's just, man, it's been interesting basketball. It's a bunch of blowouts one day, and then the next day all the games are so tight. It's just the series you think is over is the series that just got extended, and you know, it's just been interesting ebbs and flows, especially for Philly fans that I'm sure can't wait for their series to be over. But
and look who just came in, Kiana Williams, the rookie from Stanford. Ended her career with a thrilling championship, barely beating Ari McDonald in Arizona. A terrific player for the Cardinal, one of their best three-point shooters. Working her way into this lineup. Here's another break. We'll be back. Welcome back. Seattle up 87-73, less than a minute away for Noelle Quinn to be an undefeated head coach in the WNBA. Have to go to 1-0. Taking over for Dan Quinn, or Dan Hughes, who retired on Sunday. Seattle's got a back-to-backer coming up against an improved Dallas team.
Noelle Quinn looks pretty happy with her team, you know, on the mat with the mask on. Can't see the smile, but you get a W.
Been a lot of fouls in this game with China. Have you noticed?
Yeah, I have.
Lindsay Allen heading to the free throw line. There they are, just chilling. Just another win.
Well, as everyone gets healthy and players come back on the roster, congratulations, by the way, to our USA Basketball 3-on-3 team qualifying for Tokyo. Coach Carol Lawson, history. But everyone gets their players back, you know, and it gets to full strength, and all these teams get, you know, get some rhythm and get some practice time after a short training camp, and not as much time leading into camp as they would normally have due to COVID. Some of the restrictions, you'll see some changes and shifts, I think, in the standings, you know, of some of these younger teams like Dallas kind of get their wings. Notice how I said that?
No pun,
This Indiana, this Indiana team, you know, continues to grow. I think we're going to see more parity this year than we may think.
Yeah, you're right. Katie Lou Samuelson, who was on that 3-on-3 team, will join them when they play Dallas. Congratulations, Noelle Quinn, getting her first victory as a WNBA head coach as Seattle takes it 88-73. Brianna Stewart with 28. Julie Lloyd had 18 for Seattle. Coming up next, ESPN Films presents 144. Check that out. It's about the WNBA. For LaChina Robinson, I'm Pam Ward as we say so long from Everett.